Hello, and a very warm welcome to you. If you're running a partnership here in the UK, then you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're taking a close look at a really specific document, HMRC Form SA371. Now, this whole guide has been carefully put together by the experts over at Pro Tax Accountant, and it's all about helping you get to grips with your tax obligations and, crucially, how to handle an appeal if you ever find yourself needing. Right, let's set the scene. Imagine that dreaded brown envelope from HMRC drops through your letterbox. You open it up, and yep, it's a penalty notice for filing your partnership tax return late. Annoying, right? But then you look closer, and the real shock hits you. That $100 penalty, it's not for the business. It's for every single partner. Okay, so here's our game plan. We've laid this out to walk you from that first moment of panic right through to taking confident, effective action. We'll look at what that letter really means, the exact tool you need to fight it, how to build a case, and most importantly, how to make sure this never happens again. So let's start with that unsettling letter. You know, a late filing penalty is a headache for anyone, but for a partnership, the financial damage gets multiplied. It hits every single partner, which makes it uniquely painful and something you really have to deal with and fast. Now this is where you can see just how serious this gets. It's not just one fine. It starts with £100 for each partner. If you're 3 months late, they add on a £10 daily penalty, again per partner, which can rocket up to £900 each. Then at 6 months, it gets even worse. It's another penalty of at least £300 per partner on top of everything else. It can escalate into a massive financial problem incredibly quickly. Let's put some real numbers on this. Say we have Chloe and Ben, who run a fantastic little catering company in London. If they file their partnership return just 6 months late, they're looking at an initial £200 plus up to £1,800 in daily fines, and then another whack of at least £600. That's a minimum of £2,600. For a small business, that is a huge hit, and it's exactly why you need to know how to appeal. So how do you actually fight back? Well, let's talk about the solution. The good news is HMRC has a specific tool for this job, but you have got to make sure you're using the right one. And here we have a classic and very expensive mistake people make. You see, Form SA370 is for an individual appealing their personal tax penalty, but Form SA371 is the one specifically for the partnership penalty. If you send the wrong one, your appeal will just get rejected, and you'll have wasted valuable time. So who's the person who actually fills this in and sends it off? Well, that responsibility falls to someone called the nominated partner. This is the one person in the partnership who is officially down to handle all the tax stuff. They are the one who has to complete and sign Form SA371 for everyone. Okay, here's a pro tip, and honestly, you cannot afford to get this wrong. There is a deadline. You have just 30 days, and that clock starts ticking from the date that's printed on your penalty notice. So please don't just shove it in a drawer and think you'll deal with it later. You have to act fast if you want your appeal to even be considered. All right, let's move on to the next step. So you know which form to use, you know who needs to send it, but what on earth do you write? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of building an appeal that HMRC is actually going to take seriously. You know, the success of your entire appeal pretty much boils down to this one simple question. Did you have a reasonable excuse for filing late? That's the key phrase, and it's the legal hurdle you absolutely have to clear. Now, HMRC is really specific about this. A reasonable excuse has to be something significant, something unexpected that was totally out of your control. For example, a sudden serious illness that put you in the hospital? Yes, that counts. The death of a partner or a very close relative right before the deadline? Yes. But simply forgetting or saying you were too busy at work? No way. HMRC won't accept that. And whatever you claim, you've got to be able to back it up. Looking at the form itself, breaking it down like this makes it seem a lot less scary, but you've got to be so careful with every single box. Double check, triple check those partnership details and that 10-digit tax reference. And really focus on step 4, state your reason. This is your moment. You need to explain what your reasonable excuse was with specific dates and all the details. A vague story just isn't going to cut it. And this really is the key takeaway here. Think of your explanation as your story. You need to tell HMRC what happened, when it happened, and exactly how it stopped you from filing your return on time. A clear, honest story, backed up with any proof you have, can make all the difference, because they do look at every single case individually. Okay, so you've got your evidence together, you've filled out the form perfectly. What happens next? Let's talk about what to expect after you've sent it off. It's time for the waiting game. You've got 2 main choices for sending it in.
Doing it online through your HMRC account is usually the quickest way, and you get that instant confirmation that they've received it. But if you do decide to send it by post, please don't just pop it in a normal letterbox. Spend a couple of quid on a tracked service. That proof of delivery is worth its weight in gold if your form ever goes astray.
So what's the timeline look like? Well, once it's submitted, HMRC usually aims to review and get back to you within about 45 days. It can vary, but that's the general target. And then you'll get a formal decision letter through the post telling you if your appeal was successful or not. But that's not all. And this is where so many people go wrong. They get that rejection letter and they think, well, that's it then, game over. But it's absolutely not the end of the road. You still have options. Now, stay with me because this is so important to know. Your first move is to ask for an internal review, and you've got 30 days to do it. This means someone completely new at HMRC will look at your case from scratch. If that doesn't work, you can then take your case to the first-tier tribunal. This is a totally independent legal body separate from HMRC. Knowing you have this path is absolutely critical. So let's talk about the best strategy of all, which is, of course, prevention. By taking just a few proactive steps now, you can make sure you never have to deal with the stress again, and you'll build a much healthier financial foundation for your business. You know, none of this is rocket science, but it works. Set alarms on your phone, put it in your calendar, multiple reminders. Don't leave it into the last week of January to get started. Use digital bookkeeping to keep your records straight. And probably the most important thing, make sure every single partner understands that filing on time is a shared responsibility. Honestly, the best appeal is the one you never have to make. So, let's go all the way back to the beginning. An HMRC penalty notice, it can feel so final, can it? But is it really the end of the story? No, absolutely not. Think of it as the start of a conversation. With the right form, a genuinely reasonable excuse, and a clear, honest approach, you absolutely have the power to challenge that decision and fight for a fair outcome. Okay, before we wrap up, it's really important to say that the information we've shared today is for general guidance. It's not a substitute for professional tax advice tailored to your specific situation. Before you make any decisions, you really must consult with an expert, like the team at ProTax Accountant. So, if you're currently facing a penalty or you have any other tax questions and you need that expert help, please don't hesitate to reach out to the team at ProTax Accountant. Their details are right there on the screen for you. For an even deeper dive, you can read the full article on their blog at protaxaccountant.co.uk. And of course, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel for more fantastic guides just like this one. Thanks so much for your time today.